I don't know how else to put it. If you are checking us out on the Bud Light live stream, give us a call. If you want to give us a shout on the phone, 877-867-1670. We're going to take your calls, take your tweets, take your emails, all that kind of good stuff. This was a horrific performance. 27-10, the Green Bay Packers about to go down. Jordan Love is on the field with 2:34 left to go in the ball game, and this is about as bad a performance as I can remember out of the Green Bay Packers, to be honest with you. This is bad. Robert Tonyan, by the way, just set the franchise record with his 10th reception for a tight end regarding the Green Bay Packers. So if you want to look at a bright spot, I guess that's it. Beyond that, there's not much more to it. This is an embarrassingly bad performance. This is, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. It was bad from the get-go. The early offense stunk. All the talk, all the jibber-jabber from Matt LaFleur was about we got to get the ball more in the run game. We got to get Aaron Jones more involved. And really, he wasn't involved. So there was not much there when it came to Aaron Jones. And this, I had said that this is one of those losses. The last time I saw the Packers get beat like this was when the Packers fired Mike McCarthy against Arizona. That was probably the last time I heard this team booed off the field. I don't know, and Scott says it looks to me like LaFleur is losing the team. The special teams slipped today. The defense, which looked so good early, and Joe Barry's defense at halftime goes in. They look good. They got ahead of steam, and then they come back out, and whatever the Jets did, whatever they decided to do, suddenly begins to work. Now, then again, the offense did zero to help them out, but Aaron Rodgers in this offense is pathetic. Randall Cobb, there's a lot to get to today. Randall Cobb left the field with an ankle injury, and when he came over on the sideline, he was hobbling, and he kind of like motioned with his hand like a pop, kind of like an explosion, with your hand. And I thought, man, I wonder if he popped something. And then you see him leaving the field, draping the towel over his head and crying as if that was it. That's the end of his career. That's the last time he's leaving the field. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, and I certainly hope that's not it. But I had to look at that moment and say, observe this for a second. This might be the last snap ever for Randall Cobb. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But it just was a overall bad performance. Rodgers was off. The thumb was probably bothering him, although it wasn't taped up to any extent for stability. The offensive line couldn't have sucked more if they had to in this contest. The offensive line was bad pretty much all day. Not much to it. In addition to that, Elton Jenkins and Royce Newman and Jake Hansen, pretty much whoever you threw out to that right side, they got their ass handed to them. So it was terrible. I don't think Matt LaFleur is getting fired. I don't think Goody's getting fired. But this is the first time LaFleur's ever been beaten in back-to-back games. Ted says 17 getting the last laugh. I don't think so. And then, you find out before the game that there could possibly be Christian Watson could possibly go to the IR with the injury that he has. I get that there is a lot of football left to play in this season. I wouldn't doubt that. But you tell me if you think it's going to get better. That's simple. Is there anything that tells you? Because football is one in the trenches. And when you can't win, when you can't stop somebody from whipping your ass, what do? You try to get help. You try to give help, So if you don't have an answer for the guys there, how can anybody else get better? Man, a lot of you chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream. I want to get to everybody. I want to do this, okay? Nothing positive to build from here, Tim says. It ain't getting better, not this year. Charles says Rodgers doesn't look the same, period. Dennis, we're just bad. No hope this year. Paul says this is the game where after the game 12 goes riding around Green Bay in 69's pickup truck bed drinking Bud Light. Seems he is overdue for this. He's going to talk about 2 to 4 fingers of scotch and some mental, philosophical, steaming pantload of crap, and I'm sure Cobby will coach him up, so don't worry about it. Chad says Jets made a halftime adjustments. Packers didn't. Bill says lots of problems this year. Same old story. Never get that talent season. I think this team has no heart. It's going to get worse from Charlie. Not going to get any better from Trevor. Leonard says the offense could have sucked golf balls through a garden hose today. Ted says I have not seen anything this bad. And it just goes on from there. 877-867-1670. Glad to have you on the network. Welcome to all of you throughout the great state of Wisconsin, well beyond the borders. Thanks for those of you watching over on the Bud Light live stream as well. Packing the stream today, and I kind of felt this was coming. And thanks to those of you hitting us up on email, on Twitter, Instagram, and such as well. But those of you over the air radio for taking a listen to us, we certainly appreciate it. Let's get to the phone calls. Gerard, what's going on, man? I was waiting for you. Holy mackerel, 27-10, and it wasn't even that close. Holy crap.
Bill, how you doing? Well, we're all not doing well, but you wonder if this goes back to the San Francisco loss. And because none of the players are playing like they did last year. Campbell he's Martinez now. I mean, yeah. I watched them the whole game. This is what they did. They're in such bad position. They blitzed Walker from the left side, and Wilson just flipped the screen to the opposite side.
Yeah.
And it was they're just not recognizing anything. It's just like, look, if you look at this thing as a whole, how they lost these games, the teams that they're – now the Giants just beat Baltimore. But having said that, the teams that they were supposed to be, they look really badly coached.
Yeah,
they really do. I mean, you have to do. It's part of the players, but it looks like it's you might. I think did you just say it that maybe the players are just not respecting the coaching anymore?
Well, somebody asked me if it looked like LaFleur lost him, and I here's the thing: is this the reason that we've seen Matt LaFleur get so testy with the media and get so angry at certain questions because maybe that's what's going on in the locker room?
Yeah, well, they probably, even though Lewis is supposed to be a leader and some of the other players are supposed to be leaders, now they're pointing figures. Remember now, what Jair said is come true. This has come true now.
Yeah.
So
now, right. Great foreshadow.
And this is even going to really push one side against the other because they played really badly in all three phases of the game today. They went back to, and Rodgers, I don't know. Is Rodgers really the leader that picks up the team, or is he just? He's the self-promoter.
Aaron Rodgers is a guy that, hey, I'll walk softly, carry a big stick, but do as I say, but don't do as I do, because that means nobody would want to go to practice. So let Cobby coach him up. I'm going to go do other things. I'll constantly look as if I'm bitching and moaning and never happy.
Right.
The perception becomes reality after a while, whether you are that way or not. Perception becomes reality in a lot of people's minds. Now, whether it is inside that locker room, I don't know, but it's just, I don't know if he's the leader because he's a leader or if he's a leader just because he's the oldest guy there with the biggest amount of Hall of Fame numbers.
What about the use of Jones today? Was that bizarre?
Could
you figure that out?
Yes, that was crazy. And Aaron Jones, midway through the third quarter, left the game. He got his knee banged up. They put I watched the whole thing.
Right.
They put him on the sideline, put a bandage over his knee. He worked it. He came back in. But why he only had 3 carries for no yards in the first half is absolutely beyond me. And it was very reminiscent of when Mike McCarthy was on his way out the door and kept saying, we got good weapons and we're going to do this, and then never called guys' numbers. And I'm thinking, you said the whole week about getting the ball in Aaron Jones' hands, about being able to run the ball, about getting back to the basics, winning in the trenches, and it all went to crap. It all went to crap.
Yep.
It was a unbelievably poor performance.
You're looking at if we look at this team right now, you're looking at about 6 wins.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, you could go through this whole list right now and go, I can see them not winning a whole lot of games from here on out. I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, it's really depressing. I think I wrote you and said it looks like the 80s again, and that was early. I was watching this and I remember, I go all the way back to Bart Starr, but I remember the 80s and it looked like the 80s. It really did. I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, and I used to say, like, they have a lot of talent on certain teams they did in the 80s, but they just didn't do anything with it.
Right.
And now look at this team. I mean, Kenny Clark, did they call his name once? Did they call his name once?
I think he had maybe a tackle that he was in. Actually, he had 3 tackles today. I wrote down 3 tackles that I saw him on.
It's unbelievable. 5 of the 7 highest paid players on this team are on defense.
I'll tell you this.
Think about that.
Quinnen Williams was an ass whooper today. Up front, oh my God. That's the way a beast is supposed to play.
How come no adjustments?
Right?
How come no adjustments?
They got it done with They got it done with a 4-man rush and just beat your ass up front, and that's all they did.
There you go.
All day long. All day long.
Amazing. Yep. Amazing. Well, like I said, this might be, a top 10 draft choice here.
Yep.
That's what it might be.
Yep, no doubt. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Gerard.
Bill.
Frank says the wide receivers are just 3- and 4th-round draft choices at best. I would have to agree. I've said that going in. This whole thing about that people thought that Alan Lazard was this big time. He could be a number 1 on a lot of teams. No. What team? What team? What team's he beating guys out? Other than maybe that's an actually say a quality team. He ain't beating Stephon Diggs. He ain't beating Justin Jefferson. He ain't beating Jamar Chase. He ain't beating Tyreek Hill. He ain't beating Chris Godwin. I can go on and on. On and on. He's not a number 1. No, he's not. He ain't Cooper Kupp. No, he's not. Ain't Deebo Samuel. No, he's not. He ain't Devontae Adams. No, he's not. Start going through a list of teams that's got a number 1. He ain't even close to that. Not even close to that. This was an ass-whooping of epic performance, not in the sense of a score, but in the embarrassment of you got out-physical by a mediocre football team, maybe to above mediocre, but you flat out got beat. Whooped. Tyler, what's going on? How are we looking? Won't need playoff tickets at this rate. Todd, I would agree with you. Tyler said this is panic time. I'm going to tell you this real quick, and then we'll go to break, and then I'm going to come back. But everybody that's online over on the Bud Light live stream, because this is one to discuss today. I got there early today. I got up here to Green Bay probably about 7:45, 7:50-ish. I came over here to our studios here in the home, which is just down the street, the shadows from Lambeau. I walked over to Lambeau, and I went in, and I'm downstairs today, down by the field. And I'm talking to somebody I just hadn't seen in a while. And they said, hey, great you're on back in Green Bay. And man, love listening to you and this and that. And we were just kind of shooting this stuff. And I said, hey, it's good to be back. It's good to be back in general, just because it's good to be, back going to games again this year and kind of getting back to our sense of normalcy. And we started talking. And I said, so look, I don't want to turn this into an interview. I said, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Today seems like a day that's pivotal. Like this team's either going to go north and they're really going to trend up after that disappointing loss in London, blah, blah, blah. And before I could get it out, he looked at me and said, no, this is a big game. He said, because if this team loses this game, what it's going to do to the detriment of the psyche in that locker room that's already down. He said, I don't know. He seemed genuinely worried. Like if we lose this game, I don't know if we're going to be able to recover from this. I don't know. And I tweeted it out. I came upstairs. got settled in the press box, tweeted it out at the time. Go back and follow me on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. And so I was leaving the press box to get over here to the house, and I left with about 8 minutes to go in the game. I just texted real quick, and I said, still feel the same way, just to confirm. I said, not using names or anything, yeah, absolutely. That's what I got back. Yes, absolutely. So this was a game that even inside the walls of 1265, they feel this was probably a defining moment in the Green Bay Packers season. Probably a defining moment. And I don't see it getting any better. Now is the time of this is not good. Because I don't know what you do. It's not like you're going to have a bunch of guys come walking through the door that are going to save this season. Are you going to get better with what you've got? We thought Elton Jenkins was more than capable of handling himself. He's better at guard than he is at tackle. If Josh Nijman has any capability at right tackle right now, I have no idea why they're not using him there. None at this point. Can't figure that out. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, do so. Follow us on the Bud Light live stream. All you got to do is to follow us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us over on the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can also find us on Twitch TV. If you download the app, if you're outside Lambeau Field, you can download the app and stream us all the way home. If you want to follow us over on Twitter, you can do so there as well. But this dumpster fire just exploded today here in Green Bay. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green Gold Postgame Show. It's coming up. Want your phone calls, texts, tweets, emails, you name it. Got more coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers get knocked off, and it's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. They get beat by the New York Jets, and it is just as bad can be. 27-10, the final. Aaron Rodgers, 26-41, 246 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 9 carries for 19 yards. 9 carries for 19 yards, 3 catches for 25 yards. A.J. Dillon, 4 catches, 11 yards, 10 carries, 41 yards. It basically, the defense, this is what the defense did. They said, you don't got anybody. You don't threaten us. You don't scare us. None of it. You got nothing. So we're going to key on the 2 running backs out of the backfield because everything else we can handle man up. Sauce Gardner's on our team. We're good. We got this. They went at Sauce numerous times. He won damn near every battle. So we got this. So we're going to key on those guys. We're going to stop your run game or your backs out of the backfield entirely, and we're going to use only 4 men to get after Aaron Rodgers and beat you up front. And that's what they did. It's exactly what they did. Dennis says, I believe the uninspired and sloppy play by the Packers today is the accumulation of the bad decision-making by Matt LaFleur and his staff the last couple of years. He basically threw away the playoffs last year in order to keep his friend, the inept Mo Drayton, and the players, they all know it. This year, he basically threw away early games by allowing the inept Joe Barry to play soft zone coverage. The offensive line has played terribly this year, I believe a direct result of promoting Stenovich to the offensive coordinator. The offense in general is struggling, and I believe promoting Stenovich was a mistake. LaFleur's staff decisions were based on loyalty and friendships, not championships. These poor decisions have sucked the life out of the players and this team. I have little faith in LaFleur and that he has a clue about how to clean this mess up. Many staff mistakes that he made. That's from our buddy Dennis over there. Dennis, appreciate it over on the Bud Light live stream. 877-867-1670. Let's get back to it. Let's go to Josh listening to us in La Crosse. Josh, welcome to the program, the Green and Gold Postgame Show, man. What's up?
Hey, Bill. A giant rat fart today. I mean, it was disgusting. So on both sides of the ball, you have the defense challenging our offense to, just dare them. Hey, throw downfield. You have nobody to throw to. They're getting beat on the line. This game, coming back from London, you had an 8-hour flight back to really think and absorb of all the stuff that you went wrong at that game. And they can't get fired up at Lambeau in front of the home crowd to even show some passion or spark. It was an absolute garbage game. And I don't foresee them, again, winning more than 6 games this season. That's my pisser today.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. I can't argue with it. I appreciate the phone call. I can't argue with it at this point. I don't know if they're going to win just 6 games. I think they win more than that. But, Aaron Rodgers today sacked 4 times, hit 11 times. 11 times. Zach Wilson, 10 of 18, 110 yards, sacked twice. Bryce Hall, 20 carries, 116 yards. Carter, 6 carries, 40 yards. Berrios, 1 carry, 20 yards around the end. They ended up racking up on the ground against one of the worst run defenses in the National Football League, 179 yards against this Packers team. 179 yards. In the meantime, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, between them, carried the ball 19 times. Between them. Aaron Jones caught 3 passes. A.J. Dillon caught 4 passes. So a total of 26 touches out of the run game and the backfield, or the passing game for the running backs. I'm telling you, that's what they did. They beat them up in the trenches and said, your backs aren't going to beat us. Try something else. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did today. Let's go to Scott, listening to us in Fort Worth. Scott, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for taking my call, man.
You bet.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this team reminds me of the Badgers. It doesn't take a genius, I don't think, for anybody who's watching this team to know that this team is just not responding to any of the coaches, offensively or defensively. It's just been garbage pretty much the whole season. You've only beaten junk teams like the Bears and a very depleted Tampa Bay team. But I'm calling for LaFleur to go. I don't care what he hasn't done anything since he's been here, except lose NFC championship games and playoff games at home. What big game has LaFleur won since he's been here? He's a pipsqueak who doesn't know anything about football. I don't know how he got this job, but the offensive line is terrible. The defensive line, I don't know if it's just a product of bad drafting or just overhyping the team based on what, I have no idea. But the receivers are terrible. I have hopes for Dobbs because, he reminds me of Devontae when he was younger and he uses his hands a lot. But you're right about Lazard. I mean, he's maybe a 2 or 3 at best, but I don't hold that against him. But just LaFleur just doesn't know what he's doing out there. And I think he's lost the locker room. You can tell by the way they're playing. I think it's just obvious to anybody who's a football fan. This team is quitting on him. I thought it was a slap in the face last week to the running backs when he wouldn't trust them to just get short yardage down there on the Giants. But, and then this week he, 19 carries between the two guys. I mean, I can't fathom what those guys are probably thinking in the locker room, the running backs anyway. This guy doesn't believe in us, or he'd rather keep Rodgers happy. And, I would rather see Love out there right now because we're not winning with Rodgers. So what's the harm? I think they quit on him. So what's the harm in this? Let's just see what he's got. And if it offends Aaron Rodgers, oh, poor baby. So sorry. Go get your haircut, Rodgers. You look like some kind of Gollum from Lord of the Rings with that haircut. Dude, I'm out.
All right, buddy. Got it. That's a vent. That's an upset Packers fan right there. I appreciate the passion. LaFleur has won ball games. I mean, obviously his record as a head coach speaks for itself. When you talk about big games, he did get them. He did win them games and put them into the postseason. You're not going to go fire the head coach, especially right now. I mean, if everything goes south and suddenly you believe that the team just isn't paying attention to him and there's internal problems, then maybe you look in that direction. But I don't think you're going to go in that direction right now. I think what you're going to do is you're going to keep plugging away, and there's nobody else is walking through that door. If you make a coaching change now, it's not going to save anything. It's not going to help anything. It's not going to energize the team. It made for a game, but that's about the problem is you are who you are, period. You are who you are in the trenches. You are who you are in the specialty department. You are who you are in the quarterback department. You are who you are right now. You're not going to change that. So what you need to do is figure out, play to your strengths. What strength are they going to continue to try to take away? But what's so baffling to me, and many of you have already stated this, is how do you go from having an offensive line last year and the year before that looked so good and so strong to being this unbelievably inept and just flat out getting their ass whooped? I mean, Rodgers is under siege right now. Now, here's the other thing. When you can cover wideouts man-to-man, you don't need to double. You don't need to drop safeties. You don't need to drop linebackers. You can just go man up because they're not that damn good. And the only thing you got to worry about is A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield. That really makes things simplified for an offensive coordinator to basically say, we're going to pin our ears back and go after you because you got nothing. We can close the gap. You might get us. We're going to try to make sure we've got guys in run support, but they're all coming up. They're all coming up to the line because nobody's going to blow the lid off. Christian Watson was the guy that had the speed. He's done. And if you're just tuning us in, there's talk that they may put Christian Watson on the IR because his hamstring's just not healing. Who does that sound like? Clay Matthews. So they may end up putting him on the IR. You don't have that guy that's 4.2, 4.3 consistently. Romeo Doubs is solid, but he can't do it alone. He's the young guy. He doesn't know everything yet. He doesn't have technique yet. He's not there. So who do you got? Nobody. If you're Brian Gutekunst right now, you should have even been watching this game today. You should have been on the phone. You should have been sitting there trying to make a deal. Anybody and everybody trying to make a deal. Anybody, draft choices, whatever. We only got, as a Packers fan base with Aaron Rodgers left, this year, maybe next, maybe the year after that, but that's it. You don't have much left. So are you banking on the Jordan Love era? Come on. Come on. Don't be stupid. Get your head out of the oven. Turn the car off if you're in the garage. Come on, man. So what you got to do is you got to go out and start making deals. You got to say, I'm going to do anything and everything. That's what the Rams did. They tried to put everything around Matthew Stafford for a season. They kept everybody together. They brought in Von Miller. They had Aaron Donald. They had a big offensive line. They go get OBJ. Whatever. We're going to put it all together because we're going to win a championship. We'll live off of that for a few years. We'll watch a slow decline. We'll get rid of some money. We'll be okay. You know, it's what the Packers need to do. It's what they need to do. Bakhtiari's not getting another contract here. Not. Great that he came back. Great that he's playing now. Solid, but he's not getting another contract here. You know, is there anybody right now that you can look at? You can say, oh, yeah, other than Aaron Jones, where you go, oh, that guy's got to stay, right? You know, Aaron Jones, you got to keep around, but beyond that, everybody's up in the air. So, they got to do something. Otherwise, just admit to everybody this is a placeholder year. And you hope Aaron comes back, and then next year is going to be the year you're going to try to go for it. Because I don't know what else to tell you. 877-867-1670. All right, we are stacked on the Bud Light live stream. So for all of you watching the show right now, appreciate it. Okay, we'll continue with all the analysis. We got Mike Clemens over there. We got Matt LaFleur's presser. We got Aaron Rodgers' presser. We got guys in the locker room. We're going to cover all of this, okay? I want you to hear all of this. I'm sure Red China is on red alert right now, and they're putting their finger on the dump button and anything that's asked, and they're going to shuffle people. Red China right now. You know, this was also one of the things that I've been saying for years, that you can Red China us, you can piss on us, you can treat fans and everybody else to say, oh, you know, look at us, we're the Packers. Look what we need. Building underground parking garages, kicking people out, kicking the media out, kicking the fans out, moving people around. We're the Packers. We got money. And then when you suck, you're going to need every damn one of them. More of the Green and Gold postgame show next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Thanks for hanging out with us. The Bill Michaels Show and the Green and Gold Postgame Show. We smash them up. And we are broadcasting live here in Green Bay. We are just a stone's throw away from the shadows of Lambeau Field here in our post-game bunker. We are glad to have you on board tonight. I wish we had better news for you, but the Green Bay Packers beaten up. And I'm not just talking in the score. I mean, granted, they ended up losing the ballgame today 27-10, but physically, they just got manhandled in the trenches. It was just a really bad performance. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let everybody air it out. I'll get to all of you over in the Bud Light live stream as well, so hang in there. Let's go to Van. What's going on, Van? How you doing, man? Van?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Bill. How's it going?
Good, man. What's up?
Hey, it's been a while. Bill, I'll tell you, 100% agree what you just said about everything. I'm embarrassed to be a Packer fan right now. Embarrassed after this loss today, you know?
I agree. This was one where you went into it thinking this is where you get things right. This is where you put the train back on the tracks. This is where all the excuses about London and stuff come into play. And instead, you came out and looked like you could. A lot of people spent a lot of hard-earned money to go to that game today, and you look like you didn't even care.
And I got another point. Everything you just said, I was thinking about it the whole day watching this game because it just looked it's hard to watch. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I blame all this on the Packers organization. I mean, again, they draft 3 rookies like they did a few years ago. It didn't pan out. I mean, there were a bunch of receivers out there you could have got on 1-year deals, and they couldn't even do that. They go cheap and everything, and they go with Christian Watson, who's now on IR. I do agree. I think Dobbs will be good eventually. But again, I mean, just like you said, I would be on the phones right now and I would be calling Odell Beckham. I would be trying to get some other weapon in here that can help this offense be something not saying what it was last year, but get it good again or something. I don't know. It sounds stupid how I just said that.
No,
but,
I understand what you're saying. It's at this point in time, you're going to bring Samari Torrey up, who's got decent speed. You're going to pair him with Romeo Doubs. You're going to have Alan Lazard. You're looking for another guy. You're going to have to probably overpay to get in here, whether it's OBJ or a trade. You got to get it done. And then, to me, quit telling us and quit effing lying to us that you're putting the best five out there for the offensive line.
Exactly.
Get Josh Nijman over at the right tackle. Move Elton Jenkins in at guard. I don't care if he wants to play tackle because he wants to get paid. He doesn't play a right tackle very well. Move him inside.
And
solidify your line and get better.
And Bill, this is the same guy in the playoff loss to the Niners. I remember it. I'm like, they take Josh Nijman out of the left tackle spot with that game against the Niners, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
And I'm like, now you can't. You know what I mean? It's just, I just blame a lot. I mean, I know everybody will blame this on Aaron Rodgers, which again, fair to say. Well, I really do blame a lot of this on the Packers organization. For one, going cheap with drafting 3 receivers. And I know they wanted to pay Devontae Adams. I get that. But again, there were a bunch of one-year guys you could have brought in there for 1 year. And you decided to go, we're the Packers. We're just going to go out and do what we usually do, just draft and develop as usual. And honestly, I really do think the Packers should fire Joe Barry. That's the one I think they need to fire too. Do you agree with me on that, Bill?
I would tell Joe Barry it's time to go. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sick of the soft coverage too. I mean, us as Packer fans, you can see it. I mean, I saw it a couple of times against the Jets today. I mean, soft coverage, 2nd and 15, whatever you want to call it. And these receivers are getting 17. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree. And what's so
I don't want to take up too much time.
Go ahead, man. I appreciate it. Here's what's baffling. Thanks for the phone call. Here's what's baffling. They played aggressive, hard-nosed football defensively in the first half of that ball game. They played pretty well. And then the Jets got the score, the blocked punt, they got the touchdown. And then after that, it was like everything went back to being what it was. They couldn't get scored on again, so you played this fearful, scared, candy-style prevent, whatever the hell it was. And now, look at it this way. On 3rd down today, the Jets were terrible. The Packers defensively were awesome. They only allowed 1 of 11 3rd down conversions today. They only gave up 278 net yards. It wasn't like they got ran all over. It was the second half of this ball game that got away from them. But when you have the block punt, and again, bad snap on the field goal, and the process, it wasn't Mason Crosby's fault. It was the fact that the snap was high. It ended up throwing the whole thing off. But it's just like, man, and then you get the penalty, you get the touchdown, the roughing the passer. So what do? You call a pooch punt. Let's go ahead and pooch it with 10, 15 more yards of coverage. Pooch it. Let's hope to get him into the corner, pin him down within the 5 or 10 yard line. Okay? Pin him down, make it a long field. Defensively, we'll take over. We'll get a short field on the punt, right back and score again. Philosophically, it works, but you got to have coverage. You blew the coverage. They pooch kicked it. Mason Crosby, perfect kick, right to the corner. Take it on the 3 yard line, right there. Then nada. Then they let that go. Then the blocked punt. Score. Special teams let them down today. Quite a bit. Bisaccia, to this point, I've been giving a huge thumbs up to. Today, it was just an overall sucktastic performance. Overall today, bad. Now, okay, let me give you the bright side of this. Maybe this was that clunker. Maybe this was the bad one. Get it out of your system. You get back next week. This is the one where you wake up and you go, holy crap, we can't just roll the helmets out anymore and win. We got to do the work. But I thought it was rather interesting when Matt LaFleur came out called the entire offense into a huddle. Now, I couldn't tell. I don't know if you saw on television at home what we saw. I put the binoculars down there. Matt LaFleur, to me, if that's as fired up as he gets, There were guys that were kind of nodding their head, and there were guys that were paying attention as a group. But you got Rodgers back there, and he's adjusting his knit cap like, okay, this isn't for me. This is for everybody else. You got one of the, I think it was Randall Cobb standing off to the side with his hands on his hips, and he was kind of looking at Rodgers. You got one of the linemen, I couldn't tell because they were all bunched together. One of the linemen standing there, and he's doing like I hate to say it in this derogatory fashion, but it's kind of like the Stevie Wonder thing where his head's been tilted back and he's like going side to side, like he's either praying or looking around the stadium, or if there's a flyover going on, something. And I thought to myself, either he's lost this team to where they're going, yeah, whatever, you're not going to run the ball, you're not going to do what we need to do, whatever. Or there's a few guys that just are either one, too big for themselves, or two, really don't care. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I agree with you, by the way, Christopher. Christopher says the wake-up call should have been when you almost lost to Bailey Zappi. Before you went to London, that should have been your wake-up call. And it wasn't. You go to London, you get beat. Ugly, bad. Wasn't a wake-up call. Today, you got embarrassed on national television. You got embarrassed today. Well, as regional and local as you want to get, I guess. But you got embarrassed. 877-867-1670. We're not anywhere close to done. So don't go anywhere. For those of you on the Bud Light live stream, stay right here. For those of you listening at home, stay right here. On the app, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch, wherever you're at, stay right here. A lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Alzheimer's disease. We think every year the Packers are going to the Super Bowl, and this year, man, I think it would be if God woke up tomorrow and decided to bring Lombardi back. I don't know if they could resuscitate this Green Bay Packers team. I would hope. I don't know if it would happen, but I would hope. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, go ahead and do it. Would love to have you on board, without a doubt. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to our buddy Al. Al, listening to us in Philadelphia, man. Al, what's happening? Al, you there? What's happening, man? How you been?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good, man. I finally made it up to Lambeau a couple weeks ago when we played against the Patriots, man, and had a full experience. So
I wish I would have known that. I wish I had you get in touch with me because my girlfriend Kristen is from that Rhode Island, so she had some Patriots fans that were up here, and they hung out and they partied with a bunch of other Packers fans that we hooked them up with. Shit, we would have put you with that whole group over there, man. That'd have been a good time.
Yeah, I came up with some Patriot fans as well. We partied at Drewsy's and all of that, man. And at the bar. So I was all around Patriot fans as well as us. It was a great experience.
That's awesome.
So yeah, now that's the good part. The bad part is talking about this game today, man. You hit it when you on all cylinders of what you're saying in reference to the team. I totally concur with every point that you make. But also too, man. I mean, I'm not one that really like to see coaches get fired, during the season or whatever like that. But they got to make a statement with Joe Barry, man. Like, this is just ridiculous what this dude is doing out there. And what makes it so crazy is that his rebuttal would be like they were showing stats and stuff over the telecast, and like how their overall defense, if you look at them numbers wise, are fifth in the league, which is so misleading.
Right.
They're 21st in the run, or 24th in the run.
Correct.
But like third or something or fourth in the pass.
Right. But
this dude just has to leave. He's not, good enough to really coach these guys. You got talent over there, and you're just not using it. You have no type of aggressiveness or nothing. You don't create no turnovers. You don't take any chances. You just play reactive football. Like, I don't understand it. Like, it's just ridiculous.
The other thing that I look at is the scoring numbers and where they rank scoring-wise, and the scoring numbers last year were pretty good. The scoring numbers this year are lower end of the echelon when it comes to the NFL, and they're getting worse. They're not getting better.
Right. I agree. And they're trending in the bad direction,
right, or
the wrong direction, rather. So that, and people were trying to say it last week. Jair saw the writing on the wall. Aaron Rodgers tried to come with this little philosophical crap that he go on Pat McAfee and seeing these interviews, don't speak stuff up, and he know what's going on, and he definitely gave us a clue of the temperature of what's going on in that locker room over there. And it needs to be a change. I don't know who would step up to actually take Joe Barry's spot or whatever it is, but they need a fire lit under them. And Joe Barry's not doing it. And as far as with Matt LaFleur, man, I don't know what type of brain fart was going on with him. It was one particular drive, you had third down, you don't even have Aaron Jones on the field. Then you run a play out the flat with your running back with A.J. Dillon, and as soon as he catches the ball, he gets smacked.
Done. Yeah.
And doesn't gain any yard. It's like, I'm so sick and tired. Like you said earlier, you keep on saying you're putting the best players on the field. You're not doing that. You're basically peeing in our face and telling that it's rain. Don't do that.
No,
don't do that.
I would
agree. On top of that,
Al, let me ask you this. How much do you think he misses Luke Getsy, Nathaniel Hackett? How much do you think he misses the guys that were kind of that offensive brain trust from last year and the year before?
Oh, tremendously.
Yeah.
Tremendously. He definitely misses them. And I mean, pretty much, let me just say this. They miss each other because they're struggling over there at Denver and we're struggling here.
Right.
So it's just like, it looks good, the fact that we went to 2 NFC championship games under Matt LaFleur. His regular season record, like they showed today, was 10-0 after losses. Those who have any back-to-back losses. All that stuff doesn't mean anything if you're not winning championships.
Yeah.
Man. And that's the bottom line. And we're not doing nothing with this team in the state that it's in. Now, I just want to say one more thing. I know you guys, you press for time. Everybody's talking about getting Odell Beckham and all this whole type of stuff. Odell Beckham is not sitting home fully healthy right now. You have to wait for him to get cleared in order for him to even come in to even be a part of the offense or the team in the first place. My question is, why they don't try to get a guy like Will Fuller or somebody like that that's sitting around that makes hints about wanting to come to the Packers, that was supposed to come to the Packers 2 years ago, but they asked for too much in not Tennessee with the Texans, and they ended up. I mean, he got suspended after that. I think for like PED. I don't know what it was,
Right.
but this guy is a capable guy that wants to come here that can fill the top off the defense, and they just don't even look at him. I don't get it, but that's just my take. What I see on my end.
I
And
think
thanks
at
for
this
the time,
point,
man.
you got to go after at least a guy or two. I don't think it's going to take just one. I think it's going to take two guys, especially if you lost Cobb. And if you saw him leave the field today, you probably thought, okay, that was the last time I'm going to see Cobb on the football field. Probably not going to have Cobb. Probably not going to have Christian Watson. You're down to Samori Toure. You're down to Alan Lazard. And you're down to Romeo Doubs. Amari Rodgers saw time today at the wide receiver position. That's how desperate they were. That's where they were today. So good stuff, man. Al, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for listening. Let's get nobody back at it. Okay, a couple of other things to get over on the Bud Light live stream. I want to get some of these comments. Said I'd rather watch the Vikings play because at least they're playing some good football right now. By the way, here's the next question. And Garland, I give you credit. He says, let's ask the question. The whole thing that was take the North, when we saw it game one, against the Vikings, the giant production, if you were a Packers fan over in Minnesota, okay, and you were there at U.S. Bank Stadium for the first game of the season, and they came out, we hate it, right? We hate this effing thing. We hate that horn. We hate that horn, right? And they had a whole production with Zedarius and the guys coming over, Justin Jefferson talking about it. You had Kirk Cousins talking about it, new head coach talking about it. We're taking the North. Was today the day that the Minnesota Vikings have taken the North? And the reason I ask, the Vikings, they are 5-1. The Packers are 3-3. Vikings went down into Miami. They won 24-16 today. One loss on the season. Is today the day that you're going to look back on and you're going to go, that was the day, the defining moment. Going back to the conversation that I had when I was at Lambeau early this morning, had a conversation with somebody with the team, talked to him a little bit and said, yeah, this is a big game. And I said, well, I thought it was a big game because it's a big rebound game. And you don't want to go to 3-3. You don't want to fall 2 games behind the Vikings for all these different reasons. And the Vikings on the tiebreaker. So in essence, you're 3 games back. So I was asking all these questions and he was like, oh no. He said, I'm really afraid if they lose this game today, what it's going to do to the psyche of the guys inside that locker room. And now you got to deal with it. We all know adversity builds character. We all know that. But how much character is this team going to be able to muster to overcome this amount of adversity? Because today you had a few injuries that are costly. Now what? Another hour yet to go. 877-867-1670. Coming up, we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers. We are going to hear from Aaron Rodgers, who got the hell beat out of him today. He's going to be coming up as well. Stay tuned. Also coming up in this hour, more of your calls, more of your reaction over on the Bud Light live stream. So for those of you watching the program, stay tuned. We're about a minute and a half away from coming right back, and we're going to continue to take your calls and reactions. Packers get it taken on the chin. Right there. Bam! Knockout blow might have been delivered. 27-10, they get beat by the Jets. We got more coming up. Hang in there right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
This Sunday, the Packers are looking to move to 4-2 on the year when they welcome in the New York Jets to Lambeau Field. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says the defense needs to get more aggressive. What does safety Darnell Savage think of that?
Like I said, it's not going rogue within the defense, but kind of just trusting yourself. And, for him to say that, it's kind of him telling us that, he trusts us to trust what we see and go make plays. So, excited for another opportunity.
The Packers defense is currently giving up 19.2 points per game. That's good for 11th in the league. Kickoff Sunday is at noon. To Wisconsin football, tackle Logan Brown has entered the transfer portal, but yesterday interim head coach Jim Leonhard said it wasn't by choice. He was kicked off the team.
The reality of what happened is that there was an internal incident here within the program, and Logan Brown was dismissed from the program. It was not a choice. He was dismissed from our program.
Now the Badgers turn their attention to Michigan State this Saturday. Jim Leonhard says they're excited.
Excited for the opportunity to head and play a good team here. Michigan State, solid week of practice. I think the prep and the energy and kind of the intensity of practice has been there this week. So I'm excited to get on the road here and see if we can get things done on Saturday.
Kickoff is Saturday at 3:30. The Milwaukee Bucks, their preseason games this week. Their season begins on the 20th when they're in Philadelphia to take on the 76ers. And Wisconsin basketball has finished up Big Ten Media Days. They were picked to finish 9th in the league. Their season gets underway on the 30th with an exhibition match against UW-Eau Claire.
Blue 58, go! Green 18, Green 99, touch! This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome in. This was ugly. This was a beating. This was a physical ass whooping. It wasn't a huge score. It wasn't a dominating score. It wasn't blown out of the building, but this was a statement. One, the Jets are for real. Two, the Packers aren't. It's that simple. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up, give us a shout. Not a great day at the ball yard. By any stretch of the imagination, Packers beaten by the New York Jets, beaten in the trenches. Aaron Rodgers sacked 4 times, hit 11 on the day, had him beat up. Randall Cobb leaves the field crying. Looked like it might have been something in that ankle. Could be something that is season ending, and if that's the case, we may have seen Randall Cobb for the last time. You've also got additional injuries to deal with. Not a great day at the ball yard by any stretch. Welcome back. Green and Gold postgame show continues on. So let's do this. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up momentarily. Hang in there. Red China, as we know it, right around the corner. Let's go to Dwayne. Dwayne, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Hey, Bill. Geez, I guess I'm confused because I thought Joe Barry was a defensive coach. I didn't think he played offense because this offense stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not going to go into all the statistics on where the defense is, but if you're on the field all the time, sucking wind by the time the middle of the third quarter comes about, you're not going to. What'd they give up? 3 points at the half?
That was it, yeah. 3
points?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, their defense doesn't stink. It gets worn down. It gets worn out.
That too?
I don't understand. I'm guessing today was because of the thumb why we don't have under center quarterback, play action pass fakes, abilities to hold linebackers, stop the big rush right away. We don't have any of that. It's a stupid shotgun all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch the game on Fox and you go, oh, these guys are not open. Well, there are plenty of times when there are guys wide open and he's just not hitting them.
Right.
So I don't know if he's not manifesting the right way, if the locker room's not manifesting the right way, but it's time to circle the wagons and sit down and close the door like, Matt did on the sidelines there a little bit. But San Francisco's 3-3, Tampa Bay's 3-3, Green Bay's 3-3. They're all supposed NFC contenders for the championship.
Right.
And what do they all three have in common? Uncertainty at quarterback. Because
correct.
you got a guy that's trying to relive. What's that?
Well, I agree with you, but also don't forget you've got the Philadelphia Eagles who are undefeated, and you got the Vikings who are sitting at 4-1, and they don't have a quarterback situation. They know who their guys are.
Vikes are 5-1.
Or 5-1.
They won today.
Yeah, 5-1.
Yeah, but they're not that good. I mean, they're doing better execution on some things. They got more offensive weapons. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you go out and get some? Why isn't Amari Turi signed? Get him in uniform. Get him on the field.
He'll be in next week. I can almost guarantee it. Yeah.
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 I mean, it's just a little bit of the hit there, but all 12 has still got to function better on simple, easy throws. He overthrew, I don't know how many guys he overthrew, not just on deep throws today, out of the back, coming across the middle, in the ground. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's like you get the ball to some of your weapons. And again,
now here's the thing.
I know
Dwayne.
Christian's not playing.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing,
Yeah.
Dwayne. I appreciate the phone call. Listen up offline here real quick. The other thing to remember is he took that hit on that thumb in London. We don't know how bad that thumb is. It didn't seem to affect him in practice. It didn't seem to affect him during the week. Remember, he took a day off. They wanted to make sure he was okay and was going to be good to go. The first couple times he threw the ball, he certainly didn't look like Aaron Rodgers, the guy that we've come to know with his accuracy and his zip. I got to think that now I don't want to sit here and make excuses, because if he's stinking up the joint, he's stinking up the joint. I don't want to make excuses for it. But we don't know how bad that thumb is, which means now you've got an additional week to heal. So hopefully next week he comes out and he throws better. But you're most likely not going to have Christian Watson. Probably not going to have Randall Cobb. You're going to be out there with Samori Toure, Romeo Doubs. You're going to Amari Rodgers, Alan Lazard. Tanya today set a franchise record today for catches for a tight end. I don't know if anybody knew that. 12 targets, 10 catches, 90 yards today, his longest being 16. Moved the sticks quite often. Robert Tanya did. He's become a favorite. And we kind of figured that they would have to rely upon the tight end position even more and more. But I didn't expect him to be able to set franchise records because they can't throw to anybody else. I mean, that's unbelievably concerning, to be perfectly honest with you. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Rockford, Illinois. Mike, how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Good, Bill. Listen, I want to say something. Does why we got probably the best 1-2 running back punch in the NFL, and I don't know why. I know Rodgers, if he did hurt his thumb, but why didn't they start off by doing just start running the ball, and then they could do the RPO, after that, the run sets the pass up, and they didn't start out that way. It just seemed like they were out of sync, but why not go to those running backs and just, pound the ball? I mean, I know the Jets defense was plugging up the hole pretty good, but they didn't commit to the run. To me, they didn't seem like they committed to the run long enough. And the other thing I want to say, Bill, and I'll listen to you commenting, is why didn't the Packers, as far as when they made a decision here, when they went with what was it, I'm trying to think, was it in the third quarter? I think they could have went for it. They said they punted the ball. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't remember. It was later in the game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at which one it was. That was when they went for it once. It was 3rd and 4, and they went for it in the third quarter. And Aaron Rodgers again out of shot, because he was in shotgun pretty much the whole day. He threw incomplete. Here's the problem. What I have, 3rd and 4, and I remember. I might remember the sequence. 3rd and 4, and I tweeted it out. I said 4 yards. Watch him go deep. And damned if they didn't. You need 4 yards. You had A.J. Dillon over there. Remember they threw it to A.J. Dillon. Dillon dropped the ball. The very next pass, A.J. Dillon, kind of open. He was the guy that probably could have picked up the first down, but instead they threw it 35, 40 yards downfield to Romeo Doubs. Falls incomplete. Wouldn't go back to Dillon after that. And I thought, well, you need 4 yards. All you want to do is keep the sticks moving. You're trying to put something together. Couldn't do it.
Well, what about as far as the defense goes? Are you feeling? Did we make a mistake with this coordinator? Are we going to change coordinators at the end of the year, and it's just going to keep being a revolving door? Like last year it was special teams. This year is it going to be the defensive coordinator? They got such talent on this team, and it just seems like they miss tackles and everything.
Yeah, I gave Joe Barry credit because that defense played pretty well last year, but I also remember that he played really soft until Matt LaFleur got in his ass in that Detroit game at halftime and said, we're done playing these zones because we're getting eaten up. And then finally when they started playing press man and playing man coverage and got out of the zones and played aggressive and started bringing guys in different exotic blitzes, they started to play really good football, and the guys enjoyed it. So I'm going to wait and see what that defense feels, because the defense only gave up 3 points going into halftime. The problem is the second half of ball games has been the nemesis for the Packers all season long. They don't make not that I really rely big time on halftime adjustments, but it seems like other teams come out at halftime and beat them, and the Packers don't have an answer. Appreciate the phone call. Real quick, I think you're talking about 3rd and 3. It was on the Packers' own 46 near midfield. They had prior to that, Aaron Jones goes around the left end for 7 yards. They threw the pass to A.J. Dillon, fell incomplete. Then Rodgers got sacked for a 7-yard loss, so that made it 3rd and 3. in that series from their own 46, and they ended up punting the ball away. It was right after they had come out third quarter wise. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. They were near midfield. Why not go for it at that point? 877-867-1670. Matt LaFleur, here comes a big dose of, I would only believe to be Red China. We don't know. We'll wait and see. Take a listen to what Matt LaFleur had to say after this ballgame. Take a listen. Here he is.
Well, obviously, extremely disappointed right now. That was very humbling when you're in your own building and you get taken like that and lose by 3 scores. We all got to be better. Absolutely. Coach it better. Got to execute better. We got to get back to work. But the reality is right now we're 6 games into this thing. We're 3-3. There's a lot of ball in front of us, but we have to have that urgency to want to improve. We got to clean up a ton of details. We're going to have to take a good hard look at everything and really do some great evaluations from a coaching perspective in terms of what's working, what's not working, and try to find a different avenue because today was not good enough. Give the Jets a ton of credit. They came in, they were prepared. I thought our defense battled in that first half. I thought, special teams, there was some good and bad, obviously. But we didn't do enough offensively in that first half to even give us a chance to take control of the game. And, but I was proud of our guys' effort. I thought, anytime that you're getting whipped like that, but down 2 scores, and they've got the ball on the 4-yard line or whatever, 1st and goal, we get a personal foul penalty, and we get another free set of downs, and our guys kept battling to keep them out of the end zone. I thought that was a good sign. That they continued to fight to the end, and but no, it's there's going to be adversity in this league. We know that, and we're going to find out a lot about ourselves moving forward, where we are right now, and how we respond. And I believe in the guys in the locker room. I know we got a great group of men, and I think that everybody's going to stick together through this, and we're going to continue to scratch and claw and fight our way out of this.
You guys have some really good players on offense. Why haven't you been able to put together a full game yet this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a fair question. I don't know. Obviously, if I knew, we wouldn't be in this spot, right? We're in a pretty bad predicament right now. We just could never get into a flow and, give them credit. They were tough to block up front. I felt like we didn't handle any of the movement very well. And it just felt like we were calling plays in 2nd and long the whole game. And then when we did break a run, we get called for a holding. So we got to be more disciplined, obviously. That's about as frustrating as a game as I've ever been a part of in terms from an offensive perspective and trying to get something going and you can't, and you're looking for answers. And it's like, all right, let's try running the ball. Well, and then you're getting, a yard or 2 or going backwards. But they came in with a good game plan, and I don't feel like they broke profile too many times. They were a little bit more, I thought Jeff Ulbrich and that bunch did a nice job of kind of not necessarily Rolodex in the calls, but they were keeping us off balance a little bit, changing up a little bit from profile. But I figured that might be the case, but bottom line is if we don't get it blocked up front better, it's hard because we didn't run the ball effectively. Felt like there was a lot of pressure on our quarterback. I know Aaron took a ton of hits today, and that's where the game starts. So we got to coach better. We got to come up with something to alleviate some of the pressure. And but yeah, it was a pretty poor day offensively.
You mentioned the stunts and the twists. Just judging by those comments, that wasn't a surprise that they went that route. So if that was kind of the expectation, what was the trouble?
I got to go back and look at it and to give you a better answer. But it's certainly, whether it was our schemes or the execution, it was more, it could have been all of the above, but it wasn't good enough.
Why'd you make the change at the end of the first half? Jake and at right tackle.
That's just something that we thought would help us, give us a little spark right there on the right side. And, it's unfortunate he gets injured and comes right back out. And, but yeah, I think everything's on the table moving forward in terms of trying to get our best people out there to give us the best opportunity to move the football.
Oh, God.
Consideration putting Josh on the right side, is that something, if not, that you'll have to revisit this week?
I think, like I said, I think everything's on the table.
You talk about adversity. You haven't had to deal with a ton of regular season adversity since you've been here. And you brought up some stuff like making evaluations. How challenging is that in season, looking in the mirror when you've got games just piling up one after another?
Yeah, well, if you don't correct yourself, it really doesn't matter what you come up with. So we can sit here and study the opponent all we want. But if we don't fix ourselves first, it doesn't matter what we put in front of our players.
What was the level of difficulty with Aaron
I got to give him a lot of credit. He battled through it, man, and I know he was hurting, but he's a tough competitor. He's one of the toughest I've ever been around. So give him credit for hanging in there.
So did you think most of his inaccuracy today was directly caused by the thumb?
Well, I mean, anytime you go that route, then it comes across as an excuse. So I'm not gonna say that. I do think that there was a lot of things that were factoring in to some of the struggles we had offensively, and quite frankly, like I said before, it's hard to throw with a bunch of pressure in your face too. And I got to go back and look at everything and just calm down and take a good hard look at what we put out there today, because like I said, give them a ton of credit. They obviously were well prepared for us and went out there and did a much better job of not only coaching but executing.
You said you liked the fight, keeping them out of the end zone on that last drive, but I mean, they take over with 9-12 left, and everybody in the building knows they're going to run the football, and they were able to run it really effectively. And you guys, you missed some tackles. When you look at that tomorrow or tonight, what do you think you're going to see from your defense on that drive?
Yeah, just what you said. I mean, I thought there was a couple positions where we were in to make a tackle, and you got to make those. You can't when everybody in that building knows you're going to run the football, and they're able to do it. I mean, that's a little discouraging. So whether it's we're not putting our guys in the best position or it's a lack of execution, I think we got to go back and look at it.
Was Aaron Jones? I know Aaron got hobbled, I think, in the third quarter, but was he slowed all during the games? I think he had 3 carries in the first half.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not good enough.
Do you feel like you're just still kind of groping on offense, or do you feel like you have some things that you can lean on at this point?
I don't think there's many things we're leaning on very well right now.
You say it's not good enough to get Aaron the 3 carries in the first half. Was that the game plan coming in? Because it seemed like early downs you were trying to get the run game going, and they just seemed to shut the door on their defensive front early in the game.
Yeah, no, they did a nice job. And like I said early on, it just felt like we were in a lot of get back on track situations, and you're trying to keep out of the 3rd and long situations, and it's hard when you get into when you run the ball on first down, you don't get much, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of room to get anything going, quite frankly, to want to sit there and try to do it again, and then you're in 3rd and long. So I got to go back and look at it, though. Evaluate myself as a play caller and see where we got to improve.
Matt, the one thing that even as the defense and the offense was trying to find itself the last couple of weeks had been your special teams. What did you see on the blocked punt and the blocked field goal? Because it seemed like Rich had you guys pass that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's another thing I got to go look at. I know, like on the blocked field goal, there was a high snap which slowed down the operation, but there was leakage on the right side. And I talked to Rich about it, and I'm not quite sure what transpired on the punt. I'll have a better answer for you guys tomorrow.
It's good that the Fox telecast showed Cobb going to the locker room.
They did. They kind of cut it off there. There you go. Yeah, they wanted to get Matt LaFleur out of there if they could. They're not going to give any kind of injury update on Randall Cobb. So there you have it. The fire Matt LaFleur mantra is it's not going to happen. He's not going anywhere. He's one of the winningest coaches in the shortest period of time. It was an ugly 27-10 loss. It's an emotional day, especially after coming back on an ugly loss in London. You're going to get every chance in the world to try to correct this thing. I think there are legitimate questions. I think the loss of your coordinator, the loss of your quarterback's coach, I think the way this team has played, the way they have looked, I think the play calling to sit there and say, oh, by the way, the first half of this game, Aaron Jones had a total of 3 touches, and then again to say it's not good enough. Well, you're the play caller. You're the head coach. It's not good enough. You can't look around at anybody else in the room. That's on you. And you've said that now at least 3 times in post-game press conferences so far this season to say, yeah, not getting him the ball, that's not good enough. At least 3 times. You said it last week. You said it first week against the Vikings, and then you say it again this week that I can remember off the top of my head. So you're the head coach. There's some questions now. Stick around. We're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers when we come back. This is the Green and Gold postgame show. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the Green and Gold postgame show, we continue on. Packers get knocked off. Not a great day at Lambeau Field by any stretch of the imagination. We heard from Matt LaFleur, the head coach, who didn't have a lot of answers, just kept saying we're going to have to look at the tape. But the one thing he did admit to was we can't go and scheme for all these other teams and get into this film and all these matchups. And he kind of looked at I know what he wanted to say. He was kind of like, we can't, it doesn't. He wanted to say, look, we got our own problems. If we can't play fundamental football, then it doesn't matter what I do to scheme for the other team. If you're getting your ass whipped continuously up front, not a damn thing I can do about it. If Royce Newman is on his backside getting turned around, John Runyon literally got turned around and spun the opposite way and was running upfield towards the quarterback, trying to get turned back around again. They beat you in the trenches. There's not much you can do. And the other thing that I thought was interesting, and I thought this was a really key moment, when he said, they ran the ball right at us. We knew they were going to run the ball at us, and we couldn't stop it. So you keep doing it until we could. Isn't that what we've been saying about Aaron Jones for forever? Correct me if I'm wrong. Haven't we talked about that on this postgame show? Where when it's working, when you're driving the ball down the field, when you go down the first 25 scripted and Aaron Jones left, A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones right, pass over the middle, Aaron Jones, suddenly you're into the end zone, score. And then the next series is pass, out. Shotgun, pass, out. Oh, well, we wanted to try some things. You just said it. He just said it. When they're doing it and they keep doing it, and you do it until somebody stops you. And if they can't, you keep doing it. Oh, my God, you have to learn from other head coaches what football's all about? Unbelievable. Just said it. I'm sitting here making the notes, and I've got like my palm to my forehead going, oh, my God, this is brilliant. Unfortunately, it's not used enough in the Green Bay Packers organization. Aaron Rodgers was at the podium. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Aaron, first things first, how does the thumb feel after that?
It's a little sore.
Bother or affect your accuracy or your throws today?
Maybe a couple, but not too many.
You guys feel like you're kind of in a crisis mode right now a little bit?
I don't really know what that means, Pete. Can you explain?
That, the season's kind of wobbly right now and things are on the brink?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we got to be realistic about where we're at. We played a couple subpar games, the last two. So we got to play better. But wobbly, only if people are breaking rank. I think it'll be interesting to look at the comments from all of our guys and coaches. And hopefully we stick together. That's the important thing. But until I see us breaking ranks, I'm not going to say there's any wobbliness going on.
Aaron, what is it that you think you guys need to be offensively? What do you need to do?
Simpler. Simplify some things.
How much time do you spend when you say anyone's breaking rank? How much time do you spend reading the reports or listening to videos or radio?
Zero.
So that's
Tom sometimes will send me some stuff, but I spend zero time on that.
So how would you know about it then?
Tom would send me it.
Aaron, can I get back to just what you mean?
Yes,
What do you mean by simplify? You're talking like scheme, you're talking game plans, too much volume. What do you think?
All of it. Yeah. I don't want to get too specific. And I'm not attacking anything. I just think that based on how we've played the last 2 weeks, I think it's going to be in our best interest to simplify things for everybody, for the line, for the backs, for the receivers, especially with Kabi's injury. Just simplify some things and maybe that'll help us get back on track.
Aaron, what's your message to the guys? There's three-quarters of guys who've never been in this position, with you guys,
What position?
Oh, struggling. You guys have won 13 as far as wins go. This is a kind of a new thing for a lot of players.
Yeah, this is the NFL, so nobody's going to feel sorry for you. let's get back to business. If it's good enough when we're 3-1, it's got to be good enough when we're 3-3. So can't ride the roller coaster wave of emotions. Like I said, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how we all respond to this tomorrow and this week. I felt like we had a great week of practice, so this performance today was surprising. But we got to watch our language and the kind of energy that we're manifesting. But I'm going to be steady with the guys, and I expect our leadership to do the same.
So, Aaron, simplification notwithstanding, just your execution, whether it's protection, whether it's how you're playing, whether it's how routes are being run. It's been a while since I've seen you guys not look like you really knew who you were and what you wanted to do. How do you view how your offense is playing right now?
Very inconsistent. And that's why I think we need to simplify things, because on the couple drives we didn't move the ball. It was very simple things, very simple plays, no motion. So we need to look at everything and the guys that we got and what we can accomplish with them, and let's be smart about moving forward. Nobody works harder than Matt on the plan each week, and nobody comes with better ideas than him and his staff. But if it's not working, it's not because those guys aren't grinding. It's because we're not executing. And if we think we have the right players, then we need to simplify things. If you don't, then that's a whole nother conversation.
So do you think, but you knew, you had a pretty good idea coming into the season, right? Devontae's gone, you've got young guys in the interior of the line. Like, I guess I'm confused. Did you think you could be more complicated and run this scheme the way you've run it the last 2 years when you've been so great, and now you're realizing you can't? Or did you overestimate what you, I guess I'm just confused how now it's, we need to simplify, but you kind of knew the core.
Let me explain it to you, Jay. It's not now. It's always been like this. It's always been when we struggle, we're doing too much. So whether it's with Davante Adams out there, or no Davante Adams, when we get into problems is when we maybe try and do too much. So there's multiple times, but in the past, based on the personnel or the way we were playing, we could get through that and win some of those games. So this is not a new thing that I'm saying here. This has been a part of every season, even in 2019. It wasn't like we were gangbusters to start the season. But there were times where we needed to just rein it in a little bit. Let's just simplify some things. Make sure our guys are, playing with more confidence. That to be said, the standard is the standard. And the plays that we had in were easily understood and executable. So this is not an attack on the staff at all, because they put in a plan that can win football games. But the execution, when it looks like that, it's not good enough. So we do probably need to rein in a little bit. But like I said, this has happened in 19 and 20 and 21, all the same. It's just different personnel, different years, different momentums, different energy.
Did you think that last week, or did this game really crystallize that?
No, I thought that, all the time. I mean, the simplest plays are the best plays. The smartest players are the best players. That's what I've always believed in. So there are times where we get out there and scheme can look really amazing. And there's times where we're not executing the scheme. And the scheme is good, really good. But even the best scheme takes good execution. And when we're not executing the way we're capable of executing, or the way we believe we should be capable of executing, then it might be time to reel it back in a little bit and simplify some things.
Aaron, where are you in your belief that this team can be great and the trust with one another that you can take the steps to be there?
Probably higher than yours.
Aaron, you got hit a lot today. Did the Jets do anything up front that was not expected, or is that more?
No, they brought about 2 or 3 pressures. Maybe it felt like all day. It was 4-man rush. Every now and then they mug Mosley up in the gap, but it was execution. They brought some twists, but we knew they're like 50% twist in certain situations based on the analytics. So we just didn't execute that very well.
Looks like you guys were searching for things to fix the right side. You've played a lot of snaps over the last year with Yash.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he gotten an opportunity there yet?
That's not really a question for me. I don't make those decisions. We have a lot of confidence in Josh. We have confidence in the right side as well. We just, we got to figure out what the best situation is over there. But again, a lot of it's, I'm sure, and I haven't obviously seen the film yet, but a lot of it's very simple mistakes. So we're making simple mistakes on complex plays. To me, the natural response is to simplify things even more. Or, if you need to make some moves, you make some moves.
There you go. That's Aaron Rodgers talking to the media. Interesting stuff. He doesn't sound beaten. He sounded a little bit early on, but he sounds determined. I don't know if you got that, but he sounds determined. Let's do this. I'm going to take some of your phone calls and get your thoughts when we come back. Ton of people online. We got Mike Clemens, who's over there inside Lambeau Field. We're just down the street from Lambeau Field here in Green Bay. Packers get knocked off today by the New York Jets, 27-10. Rodgers sounds, to me, determined. He doesn't sound beaten. Hang in there. Got more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the
Not a great day at the ball yard by any stretch of the imagination. The Green Bay Packers, they fall to the New York Jets. The Jets, 4-2 on the season they are. Jets are 4-2. Packers go to 3-3. Vikings going to win, go to 5-1. They lead the division. And the Packers now lick their wounds, 27-10. A bad performance out of the offense. Special teams didn't help today. Defense, they gave it up late. Offense or defense responsible for 21 of the 27 points put up by the Jets. Not a great day. And like I said, Rodgers sounds determined, not beaten, determined. And doesn't want to field any of the I told you so or bad language type of questions from the media. Just wants to continue to plug away. I'll applaud him for that. That's a leader. Give him that credit. Let's go to Paul. Paul, welcome to the program and the Green and Gold postgame show, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill, I just wanted to talk about something that a lot of people probably haven't, but have you been watching Kay Walker at all? I mean, he seems like he's really good at going sideline to sideline or covering backs out of the backfield, but he's lost on the run game, even on that, I think it was a 24-yarder, that kind of touchdown run that opened the game up. It was a huge hole, and he could have just stopped that guy dead in his tracks, and he totally overran him.
Yep.
And on running plays, he gets pushed around by linemen. He can't get off a block at all. I think I read that he was rated, even though he was taking the first middle linebacker in the draft, he was totally rated as the worst on run defense. So basically, we got a middle linebacker that can't stop the run at all.
Yep. 100% agree. He does not. He looks lost. When you're at Georgia and you're playing guys that, for the most part, you got maybe 1, 2, 3 teams that are maybe as good as you, but everybody else you can just overplay and out physical. That's what he did. And now you got to think, because everything's designed against you. So whatever your reaction is, there's a reaction to that, and he hasn't learned that yet. I don't know if he will, because it becomes an instinctual thing after a while. You get burned enough, you kind of either tuck your tail and run, or you start to really study a little bit more, and I'm sure that's what they're trying to do for him, because he does have incredible talent. But he has got to figure out how to defend the run, quit overrunning plays. He shoots upfield and watches the ball carrier go right past him, and they're kind of laughing at him, knowing you can't stop the run and you can't figure out what the NFL is all about. That's going to be a big moment for Quay Walker if and ever he does.
Yeah, but can't the scouts see that? I mean, it seems pretty obvious.
Yeah. It's just a matter of him doing it. It's again, like Roger said, it's about execution. You know, the scheme can be great. If he doesn't overrun that play, he makes an open field tackle, it's not a touchdown. In the fourth quarter, same thing. It's not a touchdown. Early on in the ball game, he had a couple of decent stops. Balls came over the middle. He had the instinct to be able to stop for the pass play, but not that run game. The run game, he over pursues. You love the aggressiveness, but what you don't love is the stupidity that comes with it.
Yeah, when I see he, leads the team in tackles, if you look at the tackles, they're, 5, 8, 10 yards down the field, so that's like misleading.
Yep, that goes back to when everybody used to complain about A.J. Hawk, about how he would lead the team in tackles, but they were 7 yards downfield, and then used to make fun of him in that same area. Appreciate the phone call, Paul. Thanks. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Let's do this. We got Mike Clemens, who's going to be joining us coming up next. Stay tuned. We're going to get live inside Lambeau Field. We're going to go back over, talk to Mike, who just came out of the locker room, just came out of the press conferences. We'll get his opinion and what guys are saying inside that locker room when we come back. Stay tuned. Final segment of the Green and Gold Postgame Show. It's coming up. You're not going to want to miss it next.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers get knocked off at Lambeau Field by the New York Jets. Now what? Let's do this. Let's bring him in. Mike Clemens over there at Lambeau. I am just down the street. We both witnessed the carnage up close and personal. Mike, that was an ugly one to say the least.
The scariest part is how strong the Jets' defensive front four is. They just out-muscled you all day. Today on special teams, Tariq Carpenter for the Packers, the rookie, came close a couple of times to blocking a punt, and then one of the linebackers blocked a punt against the Jets. The Jets returned the favor by blocking one of your punts, blocking a field goal. The one punt that they blocked, Will Parks, a guy who had played for the 49ers, I think he played for Robert Salah out there, a veteran that they brought in, scoops it up and scores, and LaFleur was asked what happened on that play.
There was leakage on the right side. I talked to Rich about it, and I'm not quite sure what transpired on the punt. I'll have a better answer for you guys tomorrow.
started a shift and a momentum shift in the second half. So the Jets go up 17-3 in that one. And then you talk to Aaron Rodgers about this defensive line that the Jets put before you with that Roberts Law touch, the same kinds of things they used to run in San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, were they doing any kind of stunts or twists?
It was four-man rush. Every now and then they mug Mosley up in the gap, but it was execution. They brought some twists, but we knew they were 50% twist in certain situations based on the analytics. So we just didn't execute that very well.
The record now stands at 3-3, Mike. Technically 3 games back in the division now behind the Vikings.
And Aaron was at his locker for a long time before he went out into the press conference. I was watching him talking to, his PR guy, Tom Fanning. I think he was trying to put into focus what the story was going to be and what the message was going to be from the quarterback. And here's what he told the fans, now falling to 3-3 and for LaFleur for the first time losing back-to-back regular season games.
I'm not going to freak out or, make any grand statements. I'm just going to get back to what I do best, go through the process, have real good conversations with Matt and with our staff and try and get this thing fixed because those guys care about it. They put in a hell of a lot of time. It's demoralizing, I'm sure, to be grinding the way they do and us to go out there and play so crappy on offense. So we got to fix it as a group. The players got to step up, though. The best teams are player-led teams. So it's time for us as players on both sides of the ball and on teams to truly take ownership of that. And I can't explain to you exactly what that looks like with an 8-step process, but it's a mindset. And until we get that mindset, we're going to be wallowing in this inconsistency.
Mike, I think they lost Randall Cobb for either the season or a significant period of time with the emotion that he showed when he left that field today.
Yeah, the TV camera showed a close-up of Randall on the cart. It looked like he had tears. I saw him hobble off the field and then go under the tent with this ankle injury. Now, Rodgers says that, when he briefly spoke with Randall, that Randall seemed to be a little bit more relieved. Maybe it's not a broken ankle is exactly the words that Aaron Rodgers used. But he talked about Cobb's ankle injury. Obviously, he's going to be gone. Now, here's the question. Right now, Sammy Watkins is still on IR. You're waiting for him to come back. Christian Watson, the rookie, he's got this hamstring. We thought he might even shut him down. And now you got Randall Cobb out for an indefinite amount of time. With that ankle injury, does this mean that GM Brian Gutekunst is going to have to pick up the phone and go trade to add a receiver?
Cobby's, I'm guessing he'll be out for a little bit. Brian, I've had a number of conversations. I trust him and his staff. If they feel like they need to add, that they will. I think there's enough on this team to be a successful team. There's the possibility if certain guys emerge of us having a chance to make a run. I know Brian believes the same thing. But if there's an opportunity, I would expect that Brian will be in the mix.
Yeah, it's kind of sounding. He didn't say no. Put it that way, Mike. It sounds like they are leaning towards making a move if they can.
So Robert Saleh was not afraid to go after Aaron Rodgers. He was not. You know why? Because he probably doesn't think much of that receiver core. And he also knows that David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins are still trying to make a comeback from ACLs, and that the rest of those guys are a young offensive line. And so Saleh, he just kept on pounding those guys early and often through the game, filling up the gaps, stopping the run, pressuring the quarterback. They sacked him 4 times. They hit him even more. And Saleh said it was like body punches through the whole game.
It wasn't the mindset to weather the storm or anything. It was just fight back, just keep leaning on them, just keep fighting. Eventually, the longer it went, the more pressure. We felt like the more pressure would be on them. But so credit to them and the way they came out. And then, again, obviously credit to our offense and our special teams unit just made the plays and just explosive play after explosive play in the second half to generate the points that we needed. I think we ended up with, 24 points in the second half. So big deal for the offense and special teams. As far as the unsportsmanlike conduct, a coach was in the white and ran into the referee, and that was about it.
Oh, so nothing mouthy there or anything like that. It was just kind of an accident more than anything, but something you can't do. So, okay. But that being said, still the second half of this ballgame, as he had said, putting up 24 points, the second half has been the nemesis, both for the offense and the defense this year.
And Bill, I tweeted out today, hey, LaFleur's making some great play calls today. Not Matt, Mike LaFleur.
Right, right.
His younger brother, the offensive coordinator for the Jets, where they get a big pass down there to Corey Davis, and they come back with a reverse. It's that Shanahan thing. Get him going to the right, get him going to the left, get him going to the right. They got the momentum going with the Jets. Or how about what they're at the other end of the field, and now they're about 34 yards out, and Breece Hall, this rookie running back, he lines up to the left as an H-back. He comes across with some jet action, and he comes out over his right tackle, and there's nothing but daylight, and he runs it in for a 34-yard touchdown, untouched. And so guess what? He was asked about that play and says, you know what? That's not actually the play that Zach Wilson called.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a reverse pass, so I was supposed to pitch it to Garrett, but I felt the DN was too far upfield, so I couldn't get the pitch off, and I just saw daylight and just let my natural ability take over.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, there was nothing really more to it than that. Big hole, huge daylight, go. Get the hell out of the way. It was interesting that Zach Wilson, who there was so much talk this week, Mike, how he idolized and really enjoyed watching Aaron Rodgers, kind of emulated some things from him. And now, you've got him getting Aaron Rodgers, so to speak.
There he is, 23 years old, the Fox Game of the Week at Lambeau Field. And, just 5-6 years ago, he's in high school watching Aaron Rodgers play in the NFL, and he gets the W today.
Yeah, man, it's crazy for me, right? Because this guy's been my idol since I was 8 years old. So I can remember watching football. He was the quarterback. I copied everything, tried to be just like him. So it's as ugly of a game as that was. I think he's a great guy. He's someone I've always even studied through the NFL, and someone that I try and be like. So sharing that moment after the game is really cool. Just telling him good job. And I'd love to sit there and chat with him all day and just ask him kind of what, he has for me and all that stuff. But it was a cool moment.
Mike, so now what? Now this team has to figure out how to regroup, man. I don't know where you go when you're just flat out getting whipped in the trenches. And Aaron and Matt LaFleur said it. They just beat us and kept beating us until we could stop them, and we didn't stop them. How do you recover from that?
The way they were physically beat by the Jets defensive line is of serious concern, because you have added through the draft at center and at left guard. Royce Newman got yanked. They put in Jake Hansen. Then he ended up injuring his bicep, and he ended up out of the game. So you lost a lineman today. There's a real concern about how strong this offensive line is right now.
Mike, great stuff, man. We could go 5 more hours today, I'm sure, but we'll talk about it again tomorrow, man. I appreciate it, okay?
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
All right, bud. There you go. That's it. Mike Clemens over inside the bowels of Lambeau Field. I'm just down the street. Unfortunately, one more time before a crowd of 78,343. It was the New York Jets 27 and the Green Bay Packers 10. Thanks to everybody for paying attention on the Bud Light live stream. One of our largest groups ever. Tell your neighbors and friends, follow us. Tell your neighbors and friends to listen.